G'day and welcome to December's flyover. This month you're flying with David Scrimgeour. I'm the Zone Manager of Zone 4, which we'll save for the end of this. It's the eastern end of the project. This is Zone 1, so it's changed quite a lot from the last flight. Stringfellows, a local Palmy-based contractor, have been subcontracted in here to complete this work. Local road will be the first section of pavement completed on the project. And then coming up in front of us here is Nutcracker Underpass. And coming into shot now is Parahaki Bridge. You can see the large yellow crane that's recently been mobilised. Shortly that will be lifting the form traveller up onto Pier 1, and that works out in a series of segments either direction before shifting to Pier 2 and doing the same. Eventually these spans will be locked in on either end, securing the structure in place. On the right hand side here you can see the living wall, which is a series of panga logs which are used to support an over-steepened bank that will eventually turn green with new growth. So Bridge 3, or the Eco Viaduct, that's seen some more rapid progress as well. The columns are now out of the ground. Interestingly, this bridge, it's got a cross-fall lander camber to deal with along its length, and that means that every steel girder beam that comes to it has got a unique RL that it's set to. Again, another very complex bit of engineering. As we make our way up the alignment, this is fill 9, the largest fill on the project. That's very close to completion now, and it's actually the site of where our first subgrade trial is being held. Subgrade is the last layer in bulk earthworks and basically the foundation layer prior to starting the subbase for your pavements. So that trial is happening now to inform our decisions and methodology as we move into pavements later this summer season. So with the subgrade trial, we run one in a fill, which is fill 9 in front of us, and one in a cut, which is cut 11, just slightly further up the alignment here. The reason we do this is that cuts and fills can behave slightly differently. The cuts being in situ existing material, and the fill is what's mechanically placed by us. The GRS wall, that's quite a significant structure as well. Basically that consists of a series of geosynthetic layers that are tied back through the soil. It allows the material to be placed at a much steeper angle than it would otherwise support itself. And the purpose of this is to limit the footprint of the highway through a QE2 covenanted area of bush. Cut 13 is the most obvious one when viewed from Ashurst. It's over 2 million cubic metres in total, this cut, which is approximately 1/3 of the total volume on the project, and there's just under 300,000 cubic metres to go. So as that narrows up to the bottom, it's going to take shape quite rapidly, and I'd say by the time the January flyover occurs, it'll be nearing on completion there. So there's some more geosynthetic products used in this area. So there's a bit of slope protection here, which is called MacMat R. It's a geotextile with basically a woven double twist mesh, basically glorified chicken wire, and the point of that is to protect some of the more susceptible areas of those batters from erosion. Now we're looking back west through cut 13 from fill 11. Fill 11 is getting pretty close to subgrade as well, which means some of those trials for pavements will be able to be undertaken here as well. Another small cutting in front of us, and the intention here is to get some of this material down into the following gully where culvert 7 is being installed. Culvert 7 is a very significant culvert. This one here will soon be complete and have the stream diverted into it. With that completed, we can then start filling up that gully, which then gives us very efficient access between Zone 2 and Zone 3. Zone 3, whilst it's the flatter section of the job, it's probably the most tricky in terms of a build because you've got high groundwater levels and wet feet. Off to the right is a hard stand area where we've been importing riprap, and we'll soon start importing pavement aggregates. The purpose of that is that we can't flood the existing highway with trucks, the amount that we will need through construction, so we need to stockpile that material in advance, and then we'll be able to cart it in either direction down the alignment. Bridge 5 beneath us, that's an underpass structure for both Meridian to access their wind farm, and it's also where the shared use path jumps from the right hand side of shot to the left hand side. Series of small cut and fills through this section of Zone 3. They're all hinging around these culvert lines being completed first, so that's a real focus now through this first half of the summer season to allow us to get into that sort of bulk earthworks to get the embankments up to height through this area. It's quite a series of stream diversions through this area. Again, it's that flat topography making the water harder to deal with. And at the top of the picture here is Bridge 10, so that little square line of concrete in the ground is the top of Bridge 10, and that is basically your finished road height. So you can sort of see the volume of material that has to come out in front of it. That's cut 25, approximately 400,000 cubes, and that'll be the last major cut on the project to start and then also finish. We move from here into Fill 18 and the start of Zone 4. We're just preparing a sediment retention pond, which is that small area of earthworks to the left of the farm dam just there. Once that's in place, we can set up our dirty water diversions to that and start stripping that gully. Culvert 15 is this line of earthworks in the gully in front of us. It's one of the longest culverts on the project, just over 160 metres in length. And similar to Culvert 7, we want to get that clean water diversion, which you can see on the side there, diverted into it, which allows us to start the bulk fill properly. This is the start of Cut 28 or Cut 28 North. This has been the main focus of earthworks in Zone 4 basically since January. We've just ticked over 1 million cubic metres complete there, and we're just gone under 300,000 to go as well. That's continuing at pace for us. A couple of wide angle shots here which show you the scale and height of the cut. It's 64 metres from top to bottom. Geotechnically, really interesting part of the work as well. You can sort of see the colour contrast in the rock between the blue-grey siltstone material and the basement greywacke. What we've got here is a fault where the siltstone mudstones were thrust up over the basement rocks. Those rocks are part of what's known as the Torless supergroup, which actually is the basement material for much of the lower North Island and the majority of the South Island, including the Southern Alps. So as a regional context, it's pretty interesting. And then in terms of road building, there's quite a bit of complexity with that as well. This is a shot of fill 20. There's just over 50 metres depth of fill in here now, which is an incredible amount of work that's occurred basically since winter 21. We started in this gully, which was a real pain to get through, but we're reaping the benefits of that early work now. On the left here where the machinery is parked up, it's our current laydown that ends up as a viewing platform for the public. Not to the same extent of our laydown, however, there's good views through to Woodville. In Cut 30 in front of us, it's another complex bit geologically. You've got the Mohaka Fault, which is the northern splay of the Wellington Fault along the foothill of the range here. And that creates a few issues for us, but the pavements are protected with geotextile layers through them, so should that fault rupture basically any time between today and 2200, the damage would be limited. Manawatū Bridge is the last bridge on the project to start. That will begin later this summer with the ground improvements, which is a deep soil mixing option. The beauty of that is it means there'll be no work within the stream bed itself. And as we continue east here, out towards the eastern roundabout, there's a series of culverts picking up these sort of ephemeral streams across the flats. Once those culverts are complete, that allows us to access all the way through Zone 4, and we'll be hauling material from right back at the top at Cut 28 out here to complete the road embankment. So works are picking up in this area now. Through the first half of summer, we've been installing a number of these major culverts, The intention is to have these complete along with utility relocation by the end of January, and then we'll move on to the bulk earthworks and pavements in due course. So that concludes December's flyover. It's been a real picture of change from the last flight during September. We'll be shutting down for a well-earned break over Christmas. So from the team at Te Ahu, Turanga, Manawatū Tararua Highway, wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year wherever you choose to spend it.